Hello everyone. So today we are diving into one of the most important techniques in deep learning, that is batch normalization. If you have ever trained a neural network and felt like it was learning super slow, you have to be careful when you initialize your weight. Batch normalization is literally the fix for that. So let's break it down into simple way. So first, what is batch normalization? You know how before feeding data into a neural network, we normalize it, like we make sure all our feature inputs have a similar scale. We subtract the mean, divide by the standard deviation, so everything is nice and centered around zero. Batch normalization or batch norm does the same thing, but inside the network at every single layer. During training, it was introduced in 2015 by two researchers, and it was completely changed that how we train a deep learning network. Okay, so now let's talk about the problem it actually solve and how it is super important. Imagine you're training a deep neural network. The early layers are learning and updating the weights. But here's the thing, when those early layers weight changes, the output of those layers changes too. And that the output is to the input to the next layer. So the deeper layer are consistently receiving inputs from a shift, changing distribution from one moment, the data look at the another. Next updated completely looks different, so they never get a stabilized signal. Okay, this problem has a fancy name that is called as internal covariant shift, ICS, and the effect are really painful. Deeper layer waste time consistently readapting to the new distribution instead of actually learning useful data. You forced to use tiny learning rates, which mean that training become painful slowly. You have to be extremely careful about how you initialize the weight at the start. And if you're using activation function like sigmoid or 10h, your neural may stuck into a dead zone. Okay, moving forward towards section 2, that how it actually works. So now let us know that how this actually works. I promise that this is not as scary as it will look. Okay, so batch normalization works on many batches. They just have a small group of training samples that you process together in one step. Now let's have a mini batch that has m samples, and you are looking at one particular features or channel. Okay, we have four steps in that. Step 1, compute the mean of the feature across all the m samples in your batch. Pretty straightforward, just add them all and divide by m. Second, compute the variance. How spread are the values from the mean? Again, standard maths, and take each value, subtract the mean, square it, average it out. Step 3, normalization. For every value, subtract the batch mean and divide by the standard deviation. You also have a tiny number like 0.00001 in the denominator just to avoid dividing by 0. And after this step, your activation function has 0 mean and a 0 unit variance. Step 4 is scale and shift. This is the clever part. After normalization, batch norm doesn't just leave everything at 0 mean and unit variance. It multiply by a param called as the gamma and add a parameter called beta. Now you might ask why. If we just normalize this, why undo this? Okay, so you have a key insight into this, that the pure normalization forces every activation to look the same, 0 mean, unit variance. But what if the network actually need a different distribution representation, sometimes complex? Okay, so in that case you have a limited power. So gamma and beta are learned during the training, just like the weights. The network can decide to keep the normalization, partially undo it, or completely undo it. That's depend on the help, what will help to learn it best. Okay, now we have next where you can put batch normalization into your network. So the original paper recommend that after your linear and convolutional layer and before your activation functions like ReLU, you can put it. So input, then linear layer, then batch normalization, then ReLU, and then the next layer. Okay, there's a practical trip also, that when you use batch normalization, you may actually remove the bias terms from your linear or the convolutional layers. Why? Because batch normalization subtract the mean anyways, so any bias you can add just get cancelled out. Removing it saves your parameter. Next, we have the training versus inference part. This is where people get confused, so pay attention. During training, batch normalization use the mean and variance of the current mini batch. This makes sense when you are computing statistical fresh for each batch. But during inference, when you are actually using your trained model to make prediction, you might be processing just one sample. You cannot completely compute a batch mean from a single sample and write. Okay, so during training, batch normalization also keep a running average of the mean and variance if it is seen across all the batches. It updates this running average using a formula called as exponentially moving average. Basically, it slow down the accumulation of the overall statistic of your training data. At the time of inference, it uses to fix the running statistical instead of the batch statistical. This make inference deterministic. Okay, the most common bug beginners make is that forgetting to call the model dot evaluate before testing. If you leave the model in the training, I'll use the batch statistic during the inference. This can completely wreckle your performance. And always remember model dot train for training the model and model dot eval for testing. Okay. Now, moving towards the section 3, the benefits, variance, and the limitation about it. So, the benefit is that first, it has the fastest training. By reducing internal covariant shift, your layer gets stabilized. Consistent signal, this means that you have much higher learning rate, up to 10 times higher than the normal batch normalization, without your training going here and there. Second, less sensitive to weight initialization. Before batch normalization, if you initialize your weight badly, your network might get recover. But batch normalization normalize activation at every layer. Bad initiation has a much smaller impact. It's like a safe net. Third is regularization effect. Here is a bonus point that people don't know about it. Batch normalization statistically varies slightly from the batch to batch. Batch normalization add a tiny noise to the network which act as a regularization. Next and the last that enables deep learning network. Batch normalization helps stabilizing gradient as they flow backward through many layers, which mean that you can actually train very deep network without hitting the vanishing and the exploding gradient problem as badly. But batch normalization is not always the right tool. There are alternative also. So here are some of the alternative for it, like the layer norm that are being used for the transformer model, like the GPT, BERT. Then we have the instance norm that are being used in the GAN part, and then we have the group norm. They divide the channels into groups and normalize while within each of the group. Okay. And finally, the limitation of batch normalization. Be honest with your when you're using this tool. First one, it breaks down with small batches size. If your batch size is less than 8, then the statistical become noisy and unreliable. Use group normal or the layer norm instead. Second, it does well with RNN or the sequential data. Different timestamps have different statistical property, and a batch norm doesn't handle that clearly. Okay. Third, online or single sample inference is tricky. If you are doing that, then you need how to be predicting it using the compute batch size. Then we have extra memory and computation. Batch normalization stores running means and variance. Plus, there are two extra learnable parameters, gamma and beta. So we need to train over that also. Fifth one is the train test discrepancy. If you are running statistically where estimated well during where estimation is not going well during the training, maybe the training should be very short so that your performance would not suffer. Okay, so here we have completed about the all the basics about. We have talked about the optimizer, back propagation. Then today we have covered the batch normalization. In the coming lectures we'll be talking about CNN and the RNN and the good NN models, neural network models. Thank you.